How do you prove if a car crash was actually murder? Because in 2022, prosecutors tried to do just that. And to this day, the internet is still divided on that verdict. In case it wasn't overwhelmingly obvious, I am talking about the viral Netflix documentary, The Crash, which is the story of a 17-year-old teenager in Ohio named Mackenzie Shirilla, who drove a car at 100 miles per hour into a brick wall, instantly killing her boyfriend, Dom, and his friend, Davion. She survived. Now, upon first inspection, this appeared to be a horrific accident, and the police investigated it, assuming that she was maybe high on psilocybin, right? She had mushrooms on her. Maybe even she was drunk. They took her blood alcohol. She had come from a party the night before. Maybe it was weed. Who knows? But police were left scratching their heads when all of that came back clean. She was clean. Adding to the mystery was the fact that there were no skid marks on the road. She didn't try to slow down at all. And when they pulled all of the records from the car, from that little black box, right, that tracks everything, she was going 100 miles per hour for the 5 seconds leading up to the crash, meaning pedal to the metal. She was pushing as hard as she could on the accelerator, going as fast as she possibly could. There was no attempt whatsoever to slow down. No pushing on the brake, no easing up on the gas, full force into the brick wall. So with no other obvious explanation, the police were left to dig into the driver, Mackenzie Shirilla. And what they found was a teenage girl that had a very toxic and troubled relationship with her boyfriend. They found evidence that she had previously even threatened to crash his car. They also learned that this was a relationship on the rocks and was probably very likely to be ending soon because her boyfriend was telling his friends that he was done. Now, when the police went to the hospital to question Mackenzie for the first time, once she was out of surgery, once she was feeling a little bit better, before they asked her anything, Mackenzie asked if she could ask her mom a question. So this was in front of the officers, and they said yes, of course. So she turns to her mom, and in some sort of gibberish, made-up language that later was determined to be like a variation of Pig Latin, she asks, "Can we say that I had a seizure or something?" And her mom says in proper English, yes, we can. Now, ultimately, the police charge Mackenzie with murder, saying that she ultimately did this out of revenge. She wanted to punish her boyfriend. If I can't have you, no one can. And maybe in the process, she didn't care if she lived or died. This ultimately goes to trial, and she opts for a bench trial, which means there's no jury. A judge gets to decide the verdict. Now, the defense that Mackenzie and her attorney go with is that she must have had some sort of medical event, because this is what she said from the beginning, and she still maintains she has no memory. Okay, she says she remembers turning on that road, and then she wakes up in the hospital. She doesn't remember anything else. So she must have had some sort of medical episode, medical event. And the way that she explains it is that, you know what, I have POTS, okay? And people with POTS, P-O-T-S, can have episodes where they're dizzy and they can even pass out. The issue here is that she does not have an official diagnosis, and she has never had any episodes in the past whatsoever to signify that this would have been an issue. If you want my personal take, it seems a little convenient. The trial doesn't go her way. She's charged with murder, not even just vehicular homicide, but murder. She's convicted of it. And she's sentenced to prison, 15 to life. Well, times 2, because remember, it's Dom and Davion, so she could be in prison the rest of her life, for sure. So she filed an appeal like they all do, but she used a rare justification, which is ineffective counsel. So it's rare to use this, and it's even rarer to win with this. And the reason is that the bar to be ineffective counsel is on the floor of the basement. And the reason that she says her counsel was ineffective is she said that they didn't do any work to prove that she had this diagnosis, right? They didn't call any expert witnesses. Now, I'm confident that this won't work. And it's because there's a million reasons why her counsel may have not called an expert witness. The most obvious one being, maybe they couldn't find one. Maybe they couldn't find anyone that could get on the stand and say, yeah, it's perfectly reasonable that you would have blacked out and kept your foot on the gas pedal. But ultimately, that doesn't even matter because these new attorneys filed this appeal one day past the deadline to file an appeal. She has 1 year to file an appeal, and her new attorneys filed it 1 day late. So I don't know what happens now.